She trusts me. She trusts me not. She trusts me. She trusts me not. It's the Grimm After Show here at AfterBuzz TV, and we're going to talk about Season 6, Episode 2. You guessed it. Trust me not. Let's get started.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Back, Grimsters, to AfterBuzz TV's Grimm After Show!
Yeah!
Oh, I'm so excited. And I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at that Zach Wilson. Got my fantastic panel assembled here today.
Hello!
Who's judging me for that opening so heavily.
I trust you not.
And I so deserve it,
Yep.
but I don't care.
I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And I'm in the chat. People are not a fan.
Of my opening?
It's a bad pun. Boo, Zach.
That is what feeds my punness. Like, literally, booing is like what will make me do it more.
Oh, yeah?
Tauri's the same way.
Yes, I'm Tauri, and I love puns. And you can find me at Tauri J, TAURIJAY. Join me for more puns.
Oh, boy. All right. Let's get into this episode.
It's like the extended version of the theme song.
Somebody looped it.
Oh, nice. I like it.
The opening quote.
Yes.
Man is not what he thinks he is. He is what he hides.
Ooh.
And that is a quote from Andre Marot, who was a French novelist.
Okay.
Man, it's not what he thinks he is. He is what he hides. I mean, we got a lot of secrets flowing around here. Although I feel like all the secrets are coming out into the open in this season.
Yeah. I feel that this quote is them going, we need a quote. We need like a vague quote. What do we got?
It's interesting. The quotes have become like, I guess it's an interesting game for them at this point. Not just because they've done so many, but because like they're not doing like episodic stuff anymore. So it's not like you can just take like a quote from like the Grimm story that you're basing this Vesson on.
Right.
That's so good.
I mean, though, guys, it really fits the Renard story, because he thinks of himself as a really good guy, but it's really like he's a man with a lot of secrets, and that is really who he is underneath.
I don't know that he thinks of himself as a really good guy. This episode, he said, I couldn't have been killing her. I was killing someone else.
Okay, what I mean by good guy is he thinks he's like, he has a lot of power, you know? Like
not
he's like he's the he's the protagonist of his own story.
Well,
Aren't we all?
in that
No.
he's like
You're all
he's
NPCs.
he is a good villain because we can mostly see his side. I feel like he's gone a little crazy on this this. I'm not saying we can agree with him, but we can understand how he got to where he is. So we've seen him get there. Do you disagree?
Yes and no. I definitely agree that we understand what you said, that how he got to where he is, but I think it's still kind of unclear what his motivation is in this like massive Nick hunt, especially that the episode started with, I'm taking him down, I'm gonna kill him. The entire episode happened and we ended up in the exact same place where Renard's like, I'm taking him down, I'm gonna kill him.
Yes. We all that's happened now is that like at least Nick got out of the garage.
Right. Though I felt like this episode, like a lot of the episodes are specifically for us on this panel, and I feel like this episode was for Zach, where they did this fun fake out where they're like, hey, there's a chance for us to go back to being procedural. Just kidding! Never go back! And because there was a chance for them to be like, all right, cool, we'll have this trust me not thing go through, we'll have Nick reinstated, and then we can essentially do our procedural thing with the added like conflict of them being at each other's throat. But then they do a turn to where they basically scorch the earth, get Wu and Hank off the force, and so now we can never go back to the police procedural that we had done before.
Yes.
I felt like this episode was also we gotta tie up this Rachel Wood thing. We gotta tie that up real quick because we're not dealing with that. We got more important stuff.
We gotta tie it up with a nice bow.
Yeah, a nice red satin sheet.
Yeah.
Tie that up. No, but that's what it really felt like was last week they were like, here's the possible solution on how we can throughout this season, deal with Renard and end up being on the good side. And they were like, nah, we're just done with that. Renard's still, he's out there. Next.
Was I the only one, like, as Adeline's doing this spell, I'm like, nobody read The Monkey's Paw. You gotta be real careful with your phrasing.
Oh.
And she, like, even as she says it, she, like, says the words as soon as she testifies.
Yeah.
Which there's no reason for that to be in there. She could have easily just said Nick agrees to hold up his end and like Bernard will drop the charges against Nick. She didn't need the clause in there.
I disagree. I think she absolutely needed it because otherwise Renard could have pulled the well, I said I would do it, but I'll do it later once he's dead, or I'll do it, whenever. I think she definitely needed the time frame in there. What I thought when this whole Trust Me Not happened was we've had a witch for 6 seasons and we have barely seen her use magic or do spells, right? Like we have the hat bong, we had the cookies in season 1, we had the baby stuff where she got her powers.
The cat,
like her yelling a bunch. Like when she breaks the glass.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But like we could have had such a cool witch for 6 seasons. And now they're like, oh yeah, this is an easy spell. I could do this. I'm a witch. Oh yeah.
I think it's something that I get why you don't want to use it too much, because you wind up going down the Willow path, towards the later seasons of Buffy. Where once you introduce that, Evil Willow. Once you introduce that level of power, it's sort of hard to bring it back.
Yeah.
Especially because we've set up that Adeline is supposed to be Adeline, and then Eve on top of it are supposed to be the most powerful of Hexen beasts, or at least Eve is. So it's sort of hard to if that power exists to not. Then it becomes, well, why didn't you just magic it away?
Right.
James in the chat says she also just got her powers back late last season. No, I know, but
But when she went away, we had Eve. We've always had a witch around.
Yeah, they just aren't using witchery.
Right.
Witchery.
Witchcraft.
None of them are really thoroughly trained, though.
That's true.
Adeline had to steal her mom's book for her to even start really doing proper witchery.
Thanks.
Hashtag witchery.
You're welcome.
I like it.
And I think it comes at a very good time. It's taken 6 seasons for her. I guess it technically took 5 seasons for her to even be on the same team. And then so every Hexen beast and every witch we've encountered has always been an adversary. From the moment that Bitsy or Eve or Juliet has been
Elizabeth.
Oh, yes. Elizabeth has been a Hexen beast. She became an adversary. So, this is the first time we've had a really good person using their witchery for good.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. What did you think of Hank and Woo's decision to arrest the captain?
I think it was their only move, and I think it was good that they did it. I think the part where Franco was like, what were you doing? What is happening? I was like, yes.
He's so amazingly out of the out of the conversation, out of the loop. Thank you.
It was so great. And then when they're interrogating him, and none of it is it's all, we're cops. We take our police jobs very seriously. Everyone knows that they know everything about Grimms and Vessin and magic and whatever. And they're sitting there going, we're just going to do this the old-fashioned cop way.
Mm-hmm.
because they know, like, with a police captain and mayoral elect, like, in custody, like, you can't just not have the recording on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like when Nick's, like, interviewing, like, a drug dealer who's also a Vessin, like, he just, like, unplugs the thing, or they, like, delete the tape. It's like, no, people are gonna look for this.
Yeah.
Right.
So they sort of have to play by the rules.
Yeah.
It was silly.
I do feel like we are on the edge of Vessin outing to the public, though.
That's
with all
so
of this.
interesting that you say that. That's because I had been complaining about
Black Claw.
Black Claw.
Yeah.
That, like, they had a message, right? They wanted
Yeah.
to be out and open in the world. That was their plan. And now that Bonaparte's gone and Renard is in charge, and we're like, what, a day or two after that happened?
Yes.
Next day even. And they've forgotten their message. Nobody has said their like motto at all. Right? Like when Renard was freed and they're in the judge's chambers and they all vogue, I was like, no, we're not going to say the like real important motto that we said every episode last season.
I did sort of think like the guy at the station, was he like a janitor?
Yeah. he was
Yeah.
custodian.
I did sort of expect him to do it.
Right. He didn't say it either. It just also, he was painting the wrong color.
Maybe it dries in the
Okay.
right time.
Yeah.
I noticed
Because
that
it
as
was
well.
Yeah.
really obnoxious.
We all.
But I think that now that Bonaparte is dead, there's somewhat of a disunity amongst all the Black Claw units, and so it switched from being like free or bring it out to the open to this Grimm stands in our way and he is our main focus.
But I don't think that the masses of Black Claw know that. I think the only people who know it are the high ups, right? Because, like I said, it's the next day.
Right. Well, it's whomever was on the other side of the phone call when Renard reported back
Yeah.
in. And so that it may have been distributed, or it may just be the judge and Renard and the lady who was in the courtroom with them. So it could be just them being like, well, we need to wrap this up or figure out a way to kind of make this less messy before we move forward with our plans.
Yeah.
Whatever they may be.
Yeah, I would like to believe that it's just because they're like sort of in chaos and they're coming back. So I think that like once, like his HW very similar. Like we've sort of just been getting phone calls from other chapters.
Right, but I feel like we saw that they were communicating with each other.
Yeah.
They know, like Eve says, you know, the Portland one is down, the other ones are still up, and then we get the call from Trouble or the call for Trouble. I feel like HW has their stuff together and Black Claw does not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, HW is like, it's a pseudo government organization or like secret, but we did establish that it's within the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that they're being funded by the government.
Yeah.
Magically.
Hey, you know, a couple billion dollars disappears
Yeah.
to fund this ridiculous underground organization.
Right.
Who's gonna notice?
That doesn't sound like something that could absolutely happen soon.
Ooh, we're not gonna talk about that.
You mean the Department of Statistical Anomalies?
Yep.
All right, moving back to Grimm.
librarians.
Yes.
I do think it's interesting, and it's definitely going to come back, that when HW called, they didn't want Eve.
They wanted
They
just
wanted
Grimms.
Grimms. So whatever it is that HW is planning coming down the pipeline, they need Grimms for it. But not Vessin, not even very powerful Vessin, because they don't know that Eve's dealing with
Right.
some stuff.
Right.
As far as they're concerned, Eve is still super magic assassin.
Yeah.
But they only want Grimms. So this sort of leans into my theory that HW has a council of Grimms supervising it. Well, we had the Council of Vessin,
Right.
that are all dead.
Not necessarily. Alexander could still be alive.
That's yes.
Yes.
No body.
The rest of the council,
Yes.
very much dead.
Yes.
But so there's nobody like overseeing Vessin as a whole, and I still think there has to be a Grimm council of some sort
Right.
out there, even if it's just like, even if it's not that they have like power over people the way that the Vesson Council did, but that there's a collection of Grimms who are like, look, the world's messed up. We got like, let's figure out what to do here, or they just have like a secret club
Just
where they
to be
talk
clear,
about it.
this is a theory that you have.
Yes, this is
and
100%
not
a theory.
confirmed by the show.
Is the chat like,
No,
what are you talking
I'm
about?
just clarifying.
Yes, this is a theory. I just it in the world it feels like it logically has to exist.
Yeah. Well, unrelated to that, but slightly related. So when they didn't want Eve, it made me feel like, and maybe I'll get your perspective on this, that like Eve may have just been a pet project of Meisner's. Like he was like, hey, this person is strong. I'm going to convert them to our side. But now that Meisner's gone, she's a liability. Do you guys think that could be an aspect of it?
So do you think that only the Portland chapter was using Vesson?
No.
I don't know.
No. Hold on.
Well, it couldn't. No.
Maybe.
Well, because Rodriguez. Well, I guess we only have ever seen the Portland chapter, but the first ones we encountered were all
the FBI.
Hoonyeggers. Yeah, the FBI people. Hoonyeggers?
No, she was a bird person.
She was. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
finish your
But
theory.
they were all Vesson.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Nick and Trouble were their first Grimms, really. So HW is all a combination of humans and Vesson. But I feel like Eve was relatively unsanctioned. Like she was never sent on remote missions the same way that Trouble was. She was always confined to Portland.
Oh, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
So, hold on.
In the chat, we have people agreeing with Tauri.
Yes.
Sum it up again for me. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce
Yeah.
what she was. Yeah.
Steinadler? That's what James said.
Steinadler.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one's easy.
Yeah.
But the long and the short.
I know
it's
people
too
named
easy.
Steinadler.
This long and the short was that Eve was a pet project unsanctioned by HW. So they were aware of her existence and aware of her conversion, but she wasn't necessarily something that they would be willing to use out in the field outside of Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like they don't want any part of it. But they're also like they were like willing to let Meisner do his thing.
Right.
Well, because he was in charge.
Yeah.
Of his chapter.
Right. Of his pet project, as you call
Yeah.
it.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, I want to know what the larger HW and the larger Black Claw, how they function, and how like the world outside of Portland is dealing with Vesson.
Yeah.
At this point, so I'll be very interested when we catch up with Trouble wherever she's going, or when she gets back from there.
Yes.
Anyway, so
yes.
going back to Renard, he calls up Adeline.
Yeah. Sorry, someone in the chat apparently is a Steinadler. Their last name is Steinadler. So
Now
good.
we know what type of Vesson you are.
Yep. Hilarious.
What did you think of Renard's decision to bring Adeline in? Like, I thought he was literally calling her to be his lawyer.
Well, I think that he was basically going, this is your problem. Like, we have to do this together. And I think it was reasonable that he asked her. I know last week in the chat somebody had suggested that that what if it ends up that she has to defend him in court? Which, honestly, if I were her, I would just defend him and lose. Like that.
Right.
Your problems are solved.
Yeah.
Just be a terrible lawyer. I don't see what the problem is.
He barely didn't even need a lawyer.
Yeah, he didn't need a lawyer because he just called the judge.
Yeah.
That's one way to
He's
do it.
untouchable, which is great. Sorry, from a storytelling standpoint, it's great. But I would have liked if she did come in as his lawyer, because we've talked about it on this show that we like strong lawyer Adeline, and so I would have liked it if she would have had the opportunity, even if her intention was to lose, the opportunity to be a lawyer again.
Yeah.
It is like, again, just Adeline is sort of being damsel in distress in this season so far.
I don't know that she was so damsel-y this episode.
Less so in this episode, but there also just wasn't as much danger in this episode. And yes, she does the witchcraft, but like I still want to see her more active. I mean, and like moving out to like get things done instead of just like people coming to her.
But I like that she stood up to Renard, and then when Nick asked her, was like, "I'll do it." And then I know that that can't go unsaid. The call when he said, "Meet me where you first said you loved me," fans probably went crazy for that. Somebody tweeted at me. It was adorable. Adorable.
The Natalanders
need to calm down. We get it.
I like her reaction. I was like, okay.
I was like, I remember that it was in the loft. Like,
wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no other place it could have been.
I was like, that's not a subtle secret meeting place.
But it could, like, in theory, you're like, oh, it could have been when they were in the park together, or they were at a restaurant. Like, I think it's less that like the eventual place isn't obvious, but like it could have been anywhere.
Right. I like that it was this phone call could be recorded, so I'm going to say this code: the loft. It's good.
That place where we raised our baby.
The last time we slept together, where was it?
Wink. It's like an elevated place of living. Wait a second.
Real secure.
The cops are just like, I think I got it.
They go to the house where he lived with Juliet.
Yeah.
Some messed up stuff, man.
Yeah.
What if she said I love you when she was undercover as Juliet?
Aww.
Excellent point. So sad.
She winds up at Nick's old house. Just covered in Black Claw. Yeah. Whoops. We haven't seen that house in a while.
I miss it. It's
a
nice house.
Anyway, let's jump over and talk about the stick and the cloth, the stick, the cloth, and the hidden messages.
Yes.
The stick. Or like maybe the one true, like the one true stick.
Yes.
Nick like practically went like Gollum in this episode.
Yeah, he almost said "my precious."
Yeah.
The words were on the tip of his tongue.
It belongs with me.
It's mine.
Oh man.
I wonder if these writers are nerds.
I don't know.
Maybe a little bit, just a tiny bit. So we're learning a little bit more about its power set. Like, I mean, it's actually. I feel like it's creating more questions than it's answering.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're learning more about what it's capable of. It defends itself when it's taken away from Nick, which has a whole set of implications because it means that it has bonded with Nick in some way.
Well, it's been on him for like almost 24 hours.
Yeah, but just the fact that it has the ability to bond with him is interesting. It like lets off like a concussive blast.
I want to know how that was shot. It was just so cool looking. I want to know how that was shot.
The overhead shot, you're saying?
No,
Well, that's visual effects.
Yeah.
No, them and the shush.
It's in a computer.
Shut up, all of you. Not the like.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
The people.
Like, yes. I would imagine.
You don't know. I want someone who works on the show.
Okay.
I don't want you to tell me.
Hey, people who work on the show, make sure to tweet at Yael at Yael Tygiel exactly step by step how you guys shot that shot.
Thanks.
Who directed this episode? Zach, do you know? Find out who directed this episode.
Director
of the episode. Please make sure that you tweet at Yael and I guess tag us as well.
No, don't.
Or don't tag us. You'll have more room to explain piece by piece how you shot that shot. And then we'll compare and contrast how we think it was shot, and then we'll discuss it internally, not on the show.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Tauri just took over the show.
It was directed by John Gray.
John Gray. Make sure, if you're watching this episode, to tweet at Yael Tygiel. YEALTY. What?
YAEL.
What did I say?
EA.
YAELTYGIEL. Yael Tygiel. At Yael Tygiel. Make sure you tweet at her and tell her how it happened.
Thanks, Tauri.
You're welcome.
Oh my god.
Where were we? The stick.
Back to the stick.
When Eve says, we need to know where the power came from, or where did it come from, or where does it get its power? And Nick was like, who cares? I was like, oh no, that's not good. Now everyone knows you're addicted.
Oh yeah.
Like, you just went, I have a problem. Crazy.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like it's not necessarily it did heal him, like brought him back from the brink of death.
Yeah.
But it's not actively necessarily giving him powers now.
Right.
So, like, it's very clear that there's no strategy other than maybe keeping it like safe that he needs to have it on his person. Because it's not like the ring where it's like you put it on and then you can be invisible.
What are you talking
Right.
about? He was completely invisible, but Bud was just talking and talking and talking.
It makes everyone else invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though it
so-
makes him invincible, technically.
But what, like,
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But so getting, like, back to, like, the idea that it's, like, bonded with him, like, so that, like, what do you think it is doing at that point? Like, is it a protective shield? Or is it, like, is it an evil, like, thing that's, like, trying to take him over? Is it, like, actually a magic wand where it's, like, sort of just, like, fulfilling its purposes? Like, it saves Nick in this episode, this, like, in the same way that it's like similar way that it saved him before. It saved him the first time by healing him.
Right.
It saved him here by knocking out everyone around him that was his enemy and nobody that wasn't. It wasn't that it was just protecting Nick. It basically listened to him.
Yeah, I think you're right that it's saving him or keeping him safe from whatever harm or doing what he needs it to do. Right? Because when he held it over Eve and it saved her, he just like held it and was like, hopefully this does something.
Mm-hmm.
So it knew what he wanted.
Yeah, it healed Monroe.
Yes.
And it was near Monroe. It knew Monroe needed healing.
Yeah.
And it fixed Wu, right?
Did it?
I believe so. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't.
You mean like he's no longer Neanderwu?
Yes.
No, he's still Neanderwu.
He can control it now.
Got it. Question. Is this the first time that someone who wasn't Vesson or Grimm handled the stick? Because there could be it could be that a human handled it and so it repelled the human.
No,
as opposed
Hank. Hank has
he-
held it.
Has he held it?
Yeah.
You're sure?
I'm not 100% certain, but
To the chat.
Yes.
I'm pretty
Chat.
certain that when they were
Yeah.
first investigating it, Hank picked it up for at least a moment. It's possible not. It's possible he didn't, but I feel like he has.
Maybe. Well, if that's if Hank has held it, then my theory is incorrect. If he has not, then there is a chance that only people who are in the Vesson world can handle the stick, and that's why it repelled all the other people, and everyone who was in the room was able to stay standing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In the chat, Culture Vulture says, I bet Adeline will know what the stick is if they tell her. She knows a lot about magical things. That's a really good point.
She still doesn't know.
She doesn't know about the stick.
Oh.
Now she knows about the cloth.
Right. Oh, the cloth.
As they like, Diana comes in to.
Oh, Diana.
Oh boy.
Well, so the cloth, it's like they went, this has Aramaic in it. You know what? That's too complicated. Screw that. This is what we're going with. There are symbols on this cloth now. It said something in Latin. We translated 2 words. Ignore that. We're going with this now.
Yeah.
Well, it's layering. If you're trying to protect a secret, you put, like, the best way to stop somebody from digging any further is to put something that they think they found. So the stuff on the first level may have been in order to get people to stop looking. And now, but, like, we happen to have a Hexen Beast nearby, so they found the next level down.
It also might be, it was complicated. Let's go with this.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So what do you guys think these symbols are? We have very little more to go on, except that there's more of them.
It's a star map, isn't it?
I mean, I would imagine it's a star map. Yes.
It looks like a star map.
So here's what we know about it is that the only person who was able to see it was Eve, who basically traveled to the underworld. Mm-hmm. And then we also essentially know that Diana has some kind of, or like she has some kind of connection with the dead in some way, based on her process of, based on what's her face's Adeline's process of getting her powers back.
Oh.
Because it relied on having a dead, a dead, what is it called? What are they called? Hexen beast.
Yeah. 2
dead Hexen beasts. Like, it required her mother's bones, and also it required that other lady to die.
Yeah.
So there is definitely some kind of connection between death and this cloth. It could be that star map could be how one gets to the netherworld, or it could be that this stick and this cloth are connected to, I think someone mentioned like hell or the devil, and so that could be where the source of the power is coming from.
That's so interesting. I definitely thought of it more as like the pure soul thing, right? So like Eve, we had said that maybe the stick kind of cleansed her soul a little bit, which is why like he thought he could take her, but also why she can only see 3 of the symbols. But aside from the fact that Diana has killed people, she is this like innocent child, and I don't think she's real. Like I don't think she knows that she's killed people, so her soul isn't really like damaged because it wasn't
malicious.
Yeah, it wasn't evil. It was to protect people or to save people. And so she's got this like innocence for an evil demon child. And so I thought that that's why she could see everything.
Interesting.
But your theory is also good.
Maybe. What do you think, Zach?
As I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, so we're saying that it reminds people of a star map, and it does have that circular design that you see in like zodiacs.
Yeah.
And all that. So people will be shocked when I say this. What if it is connected to Vessan origins?
Oh yeah.
Hear me out.
Go on, Zach.
So zodiac symbol, like if we go to like the Chinese zodiac, let's say, like what if each one of those symbols is like some form of like an original zodiac that's like partially with the other one would be Greek, the traditional like one that we use, like Libra, Scorpio, Aries.
Yeah, your astrological signs?
I
don't know.
Either way, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then the Chinese zodiac, which like the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit.
Sure.
What if like those are like the original like 12 Vessan, and this is like somehow connecting them all together? We know that the stick and the cloth are part of something that was so powerful that the Grimms of the time felt that it needed to be hidden away for like not necessarily forever, because otherwise you just like throw in the ocean or something.
Right, you don't make keys with a map.
Yeah,
it tells you how to get there.
Yeah, they didn't just like want to bury this forever. This was they needed access to it. So all those things together, my thought is that they can be used if they're used together in the right way. Like maybe even just using the stick to like trace the symbols. As something as simple as that.
Shadowhunter style.
Interesting.
On Shadowhunters, they use a stick to trace the symbols.
Maybe it creates a thing where all Vessan are forced into their Vessan form, like permanently. Or maybe it ends Vessan, like takes that away from them. I don't know why Grimms wouldn't use that, so I don't necessarily lean into that theory. But like something, the idea that these two things could affect people, I feel like we're coming to a head in something that is going to be a worldwide event within the Grimm universe. And I think that these two things, like now that we've seen like the underworld and these symbols, I think that it's going to be either stopped or created with the stick and the cloth.
Interesting.
In the chat, someone says the cloth has to do with death and life. And I think what would be really interesting is if, like, the stick is life and the cloth is death. Like something...
Like a yin and a yang.
Yeah.
Thing. That'd be interesting. I also like the idea of a worldwide event where all the Vessin are forced into their Vogue state. Something like, if it is a star map, then essentially it could be kind of like one of those timely things. What are they? Where all the
planets
stars
align?
Yes. And then it essentially it is either focused through this stick, or it's just a big thing that happens where everyone is forced to do that. Like, that would make sense.
We're so prediction-y already.
I know.
Yeah, but like we don't know what these things are, so we gotta talk about them.
We gotta finish talking about the episode.
Okay. Well, the other stuff that happened in here, there's some great Rosalie moments.
Yes.
Bro. That was the first thing that stood out to me. It's like the first line in my notes was Rosalie, like, when Monroe spills bean, she just goes, bro.
The babysitting.
The babysitting.
Oh, yeah.
So first, like, leaving Monroe with Diana's terrifying. They should never separate. Especially because he has a temper. Like, Rosalie knows with this child she should be there, but she was like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm gonna deal with this sleeping baby. That's easy. But then at the end of the episode, after Diana draws them the map, she disappears. All the adults are sitting down there Googling, and Diana and Kelly are unsupervised in the spice shop. I just want that pointed out.
Yeah, we get it. Everybody's excited. You have a death child in the other room.
Yeah, with
magic. You actively are aware that this child has murdered somebody recently.
No,
like, even if you're not 100% sure about Bonaparte, you know she killed Rachel Wood.
I'd like to imagine that she was just in the other room, like, spinning spices, entertaining the baby. You know?
No, she was just taking one and going, fireworks. Yes. They came out to their shop and were like, where are all of these items that we need? They became fireworks.
Yeah. But look how happy the baby is.
Yes.
That was, oh my God.
Costing the shop so much money. If it wasn't already in debt, it is definitely so much so now.
Yeah, let's hope that whatever jar she disappeared isn't an expensive.
Isn't the one they need next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other moments that you guys liked from this episode? Like, stuff that stood out?
I want to get to predictions.
All right. No. Well, we did have we got to talk about the flashback briefly.
Yes.
The flashback to Yael's most hated moment.
No, you know what I loved about this flashback?
We're talking about when Renard had the Meisner flashback.
When he saw the gun. So
reference.
I pointed out last week that Renard clearly has blood on his hands. He feels guilt for Meisner's death. And multiple people were like, no, it's about Bonaparte. It's about killing Bonaparte. And everyone was telling me this. Even people here at AFTERBUZZ were like, no, it was about Bonaparte. And I was like, I don't think so. I think he feels guilty for killing his friend. And this week, it was like the writers went, oh, are people not getting this? Let's just put it in their face. He feels guilty for killing his friend.
Yeah. Remember that, like, it's easy to forget because it was like 3 years ago at this point, 4 years ago even, that when we first met Meisner, he was Renard's like personal, like, he was like his go-to, like, I don't want to say hitman, gopher, yes. And like also his friend because Renard has no friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that he had to murder him, even though he had
save him.
Yeah. Even though apparently Meisner had a secret double life where he worked for a secret government organization
Whatever.
keeping the Vessin population in check.
Yes, of course.
Still, he feels bad.
Yeah. So good.
All right. Should we get into some predictions then?
We should.
Predictions. Let's do it.
Oh, there it is.
Yes. It was my magical
Yeah.
magic.
Your AFTERBUZZ
Good thing you got it.
TV.
I'm a Vessin.
James said
Zauber
Meisner.
Beast. Give me my axe.
Meisner was Renard's cleaner.
His cleaner. Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
that's fair. All right. So we spent a lot of prediction-y time in this episode being prediction-y.
But in the
Please,
promo.
it's us.
Yes.
in the promo.
I'm gonna let Yael do it.
Nick takes the hit from the hat bong and turns into Renard, shirtless. That's all.
Why is everybody always taking their shirts off?
Who's complaining?
Reason.
Yeah, why would you want to keep a shirt on when you're transforming into someone else? That's a waste of a perfectly good, especially with how tall
Yeah, it's
Renard
gonna ruin
is.
his clothes.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, who doesn't need some gratuitous shirt taken off it?
Nick just like, hey,
You know?
hey, pass that witch bong.
I'm just saying we should have more shirtlessness from everyone in the cast. That's all.
Yael's like not even aware of what's happening.
I'm ignoring. What?
Nothing?
Oh, were you taking your
I
shirt off?
was.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm
Well,
rocking
thanks.
my Nick and Monroe
I see that all the
Calvin
time.
Hobbes shirt.
Nothing. Not
It's
that I
true.
haven't seen. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, like I've given out like all of my predictions.
Well, then should we head into our spoilery news?
Yeah, let's put up a spoiler alert for some. This is news and gossip.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, we got sent some stuff this week that was spoilery.
I consider it a huge spoiler.
For the record, cast appearances that were unexpected. That's a spoiler.
Yes.
Tweeting it out
characters.
is a spoiler. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like spoilers. Like, I don't even necessarily always like to watch the next ons. I do it because we want to be able to predict for you guys.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't like to see press images. They give away too much.
Yeah.
Well, playing devil's advocate.
But also, we should tell people what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So there was a picture of Meisner basically in a suit that was tweeted out. It's supposed to be from episode 4, if I understand. And I, since there is no context, feel less of the like spoiler sting. I mean, especially because we've gotten so many like hallucinations. There are so many different possibilities that it could
Fair
be.
enough.
But I mean, it was very premature. If we had gotten it next week, I think it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
Since next week is
Episode
episode 3. But either way, what do you guys think that it means?
So, a lot of people want to believe that he's alive, and as much as and a lot of people, James is tweeting that maybe he had a twin. As much
This is
as
not
I
the
want
Yael
that,
fantasy show, writers.
Yeah.
As much as we enjoy when Yael's fantasies come true,
we really do.
it's not. I mean, like, then you'd also just be disappointing her because then they were never alive at the same time. Or they were never on the show at the same time.
Yeah, I was like, they were alive. But I absolutely could see it being, Renard seeing him and having to deal with our dream, or he's because we see him dealing with this guilt. Yes.
What if? What would you do? What if Renard witch-bonged into Meisner?
So that was the other thought, because somebody tweeted a photo of them side by side, and it looks like their tie is the same. So the other thought was, if Nick is going to witch-bong into Renard witch-bongs into Meisner. And if that is the case, here is what I want to happen.
Yes.
I want him to go and see Diana. Because, as we know, Diana loves Meisner. He was her uncle figure. He protected her. He birthed her. They were close. And I want her to find out that her father killed him. That's what I want.
Do you think Diana, if she met Meisner, would feel connected to him in some way?
Yeah, absolutely. In that scene where he kills the king, and she's still like a baby.
Oh, that's right. They actually have met.
They have a
yes.
connection.
Yeah,
She loves him. So that's what I want. I want, if there is a chance for Meisner to be there somehow, I want her to discover what happened to him.
Yeah.
All right.
I had theorized that it was Nick also becoming Meisner. He's just basically running the whole gamut of people to turn into, just to mess with Renard. And also to have free reign without worrying about being caught out in the open.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that idea of Nick showing up as Meisner to be like, you killed me. That'd be so good. People would be
To
like,
F with him, that'd be so
yeah,
good.
because people would be like, I see you.
I do. Sorry, this is a little more back to predictions, but I just with this, I do think that like once we get like Diana and like everybody like aware, once everybody learns everything that everybody's done, which like by the end of the season I think we'll get, I will bet you there's like slightly longer term prediction. I think we're going to see Adeline in her like last like defense of Nataland, basically. I think Renard will die by Adeline's hands. I just want like there was a connection to this whole conversation that went in my brain that I realized that you did not hear. But
that'll only work if Diana chooses her mother over her father. Because right now she's a little girl who just wants mommy and daddy together. And Judy in the chat says Diana only loves her mother. And that's not true. I think she really wants her mother and father together.
Yeah.
And as soon as I think she chooses one side, we'll be okay. But if Adeline kills Renard, Diana will go crazy.
The question is, what is Diana gonna think if she finds out that Nick and Adeline are together? Diana may be the most vocal anti-Nataland person ever.
You're Kelly's daddy.
Gonna be your stepdaddy soon. What's up, girl?
I thought that's what he was gonna say.
Oh God, this got weird. All right,
in your head.
That's gonna do it for like. On that note, that's gonna do it for the Grimm After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. Thank you so much, Grimmsters, for joining us again this week. Thank you to everybody who's been sharing our show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Keep doing that. While you're doing that, make sure that you go onto iTunes and hit us with a review. Like, let us know what you think of the show and like what you're thinking of Grimm so far. Like, we want to know what your guys' thoughts are, and leaving a review on iTunes is a great way for other fans to help to find this podcast. It helps keep us at the top of the search results, and so that other Grimmsters can enjoy this amazing ridiculousness that we do every week even more. We didn't get any new reviews this week.
Go to iTunes, rate and review,
which
people.
is why I want to encourage you, if you're a Nataland fan, and I know that a lot of you are, go hit us up on iTunes. It takes 5 seconds of your time. Until next week, I've been your host, Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson. Be sure to go on to Comixology and check out, I'm going to keep plugging this every week. My comic book, Kid Cop. It's short. It's 99 cents. Check it out. It's very violent. It's very ridiculous and funny. So yeah, check it out. Kid Cop.
I'm Yael Tygiel. You can find me at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And in the week between now and the next episode, I want you to tweet at your favorite Grimm actor and tell them to get on the after show. I will work it from my end. You will work it from yours.
Nothing. And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. It's TAURIJAY. And remember, director, don't forget to tweet at Yael. Let her know how that shot happened. And other stuff. Things and stuff. Don't forget to watch Librarians later tonight.
Librarians!
Woo!
All right, guys. This has been the Grimm After Show. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.